Hey, Janice. Hi, Janice. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Good.
Hi there.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing good.
Good. You guys at the West Chase office?
Yes.
Awesome.
We're in a different conference room today, so we have a new picture behind us.
Okay, I see the different picture, but I know those pictures.
Yeah.
Maureen's been asking me for a budget for years to update our pictures. So those are back from probably the original from way back in the day. So it's good. They have sentimental value to me. That's what I keep telling them.
There you go.
Not cheap. Not cheap. It's just they have sentimental value. So all right. So we got a couple people still joining. We'll give them a couple minutes here. Let me pull up documents. Get our PowerPoint pulled up.
There we go.
Very good. Can you see my PowerPoint okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. Very good. Perfect. I know we've been springing it. Here's what we're going to do is we're going to make this the final session right now. I got some travel coming up that it's going to make it a little more difficult for me to be for sure that I'm going to be available. So plus my sons, both of them, school will be wrapping up and I got all sorts of things happening. So my school's wrapping up. So I've got all sorts of things going on. It's good. I see Anna. Anna, can you hear us?
Yes,
Oh, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you. How are you doing?
Great. Are you joining us from home?
Yes.
All right. So I'll share with Janice. Who's with you, Janice? I can't see in the whole picture.
Linda Chicredi, hi there.
Hey, how are you, Linda? Good to see you.
Doing good. Same here.
Good. So Anna, Janice and Linda, I have to ask Anna because I saw her on Monday at a grow session, and I told her next time I spoke with her, I was going to ask her if she had worked on getting her accountability partner. So it's only been 2 days. I know that. How's that, Anna?
Okay. I did some homework. I have the phone numbers ready to call.
Okay.
And I checked the third person also, but I will start with your suggestion.
All right. Perfect. Good deal. And you know what?
But thank you for your time and everything on Monday.
Oh,
I
no problem.
appreciate it. Thank you.
No, good deal. If you guys ever get a chance to talk to Anna, she's got a very interesting story. She immigrated here from Poland. She and her husband and just a very kind of pulled herself up by the bootstraps, taught herself English, did real estate kind of. Very interesting story. I love success stories like that. So it's a
For
good
sure.
so,
Thank you, Bob.
yeah, it's a lot of fun. All right, so let's get going. I'm not sure how many people, we haven't been when we do these via Zoom, sometimes it's easier for people to catch it later or whatever the case may be, and this will be good. And we can kind of go through this. So what I usually like to do, and Anna, I don't know if you heard, but we're gonna make this the final, quote unquote, final session. Not that we're still gonna continue to have our grow sessions on those Mondays. I still obviously will have my office hours on Mondays and Fridays from 1 to 2 Eastern. For the most part, just so FYI, this Friday I have a board meeting I can't get out of, so that one's canceled for this Friday. But check the calendar always, because that will give you the update for sure. We make sure we keep the calendar updated if there is any change. And then in the Just Us Agents group Facebook page and also the 100K, I have Mara usually post whether we're on or if we're not on, she'll make a note in there as well so that you guys know. Cool?
Okay.
Good deal. All right, perfect. All right, so let's take a look. In these final sessions, what I usually like to do is kind of just revisit what we've learned a little bit and make sure we have an emphasis on and some marching orders, if you will, for going forward, because my goal for you would be to kind of make this a way of life, not just make it when I'm in class, I do it, and then when I'm out of class, I don't, right? So the goal would be to give you some ideas of how you could go forward and running your business. If you remember, let's go way back. I don't know if you guys have been to all the sessions, but at the very beginning, we talked about that there are many, many ways to do real estate. And anybody that attempts to teach you one way and say, hey, here's the way you have to do it, I think is failing, in the sense that the goal should be to help you discover the way that works for you, right? And when I mean works for you, it's something that you resonate with, that you feel comfortable in implementing, because when you're comfortable in implementing, you actually will implement, right? If I task everybody to, hey, look, I don't care, like it or not, this is the week we're going to do cold calls, whether you are a cold caller or not, then that tends to fail because, first of all, you're a 1099 independent contractor. I can't make you do anything, right? You're not an employee of mine. I can't force you to do anything, say you're fired, right? So that's number one. Number two, the reality is if it doesn't resonate with you, because you probably wouldn't like it done to you, right? And the old golden rule of treat others the way you'd want to be treated. It's hard for me to make a cold call when I know I don't like being cold called, right? Mm-hmm. So with that in mind, the overall picture was to try and help you discover something that you felt comfortable with that would allow you to then expand and actually implement and begin to see some success. So let's dig in and see what we got. All right, so let's remind ourselves, all right, back, we talked a lot about implementation, right? That there are a lot of people that talk about doing things and much fewer that actually do them, right? We all know what to do. The differentiation in those who are successful and those who are not are those who actually implement and do. Okay. So, hey, Sherry. Sherry Lowry just joined us. So now that's easier said than done, right? Okay. It's easy for me to put that in a PowerPoint, but then we get to the point of, okay, now how are we going to actually take that and actually implement, right? So let me ask you this. What, if you don't guys, and then you don't have to share, again, I'm not putting anybody on the spot, but if anybody has any insight at maybe what their biggest hurdle is in implementing or actually doing, and if you have had that, what you've done or what has helped you overcome that. Anybody got any feedback for us? And that's okay if that's not a big deal. Let me ask you this. Again, not to put anybody on the spot, but are you having the success that we just went through? We just finished up Q1, right? So the first quarter of the year is gone. If you went back and looked at your numbers, which we were encouraging you to do in our April growth sessions, if you come to any of those, we're kind of taking a look at Q1 and helping you plan for Q2. Has anybody, are you experiencing the success you want currently?
No.
Anybody?
No.
So the answer is no, you don't want to share, or no, you're not?
No, I'm not.
Okay, and who is this?
This is Linda.
Oh, hey, Linda. So let me
Hey.
ask you this, Linda. If you, again, and feel free to say, hey, Bob, I've already answered, and that's enough. All right. What was your plan to implement?
One, I really knew I only started mid-January, so I
Yep.
just thought it would be a little bit easier. Janice and I have been doing open houses. I've had a couple different garage sales just to generate, face-to-face interaction.
Yep. Good.
But so far, nothing.
Okay, that's fair enough. Now let me ask you, so you said you have done open houses?
Yes.
Okay, and you guys do them together?
Yes, we do.
Okay, good. That's perfect. what kind of traffic are you getting at your open houses?
What would we have, like 8 or 9, a couple of different people. The first open house. The second one, not so much. We did it in the middle of the week. We're trying different times of the week to see what works best.
Good.
I've had more activity actually at the garage sales.
Sure. Right, and that's fine, and that's fair enough. The only downside of a garage sale as opposed to an open house, right? It's kind of like we're taught to go to a networking event, right?
Yeah.
And that's fine to go to a networking event while you have a cocktail in your hand and you've got a wine and cheese plate or a cheese and cracker plate in your other hand. And now you're trying to, as I'm talking to this new person, Susan, who I met, that's great, but how do I, weave real estate into this, conversation, right?
Yes.
I would think it'd be something similar, not as bad, but similar at a garage sale, right? Whereas at an open house, the reason I like open houses so much is because it is safe for me to assume that when you walk into my open house, that you have a desire to talk about real estate.
For sure. Yeah.
Right? And so that is the only, and the same thing with Sherry's, those of you that are doing Sherry Lowry's flea market stuff, because it says bank foreclosure, open house, or bank foreclosure information here, all that kind of stuff. It's safe to assume when they walk up to the booth that, hey, look, let's have a real estate conversation, right? And so that, I kind of compare it to, and there still are real estate offices that are, in the strip center right next to Publix with pictures of their listings in their window, right? And people, agent on duty, come on in, let's talk, or whatever. They put their sandwich board sign out there. And there's nothing wrong with that. I totally agree with someone doing that. But I liken an open house to doing the same thing, right? That's what I'm really doing when I put a open house sign out there. It's, let's come on in, let's have a real estate conversation, right? And so with that, that's the only encouragement I would have for you, is that you might see more traffic at a garage sale as opposed to an open house. Yet the ability to get to a real estate conversation is much more difficult, I would think,
For sure.
there than you would. So at the end of the day, remember, our goal is, if I do enough open houses, I only need one, right? Out of everybody that comes through, and if only one person comes through and I'm able to convert them and they meet all 4 criteria, I'm going to continue to hound the 4 criteria in, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if I can get them to see if they qualify for all 4 of those, remember, able to buy, willing to buy / realistic is the word we use there, right? 3 needs to buy, and 4 loyal to you. If they fit all 4 criteria, then you've achieved what you need for that day, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's one thought of my open house is going to be 1 to 4. Another thought is my open house is going to be until I meet somebody that meets the 4 criteria, right? So I might get started at 10 a.m. and might be done at 10:30, technically. Now, me personally, I did things like start at 10 a.m. on a Saturday. If I didn't have houses to show, I would sit open houses, at early at all times and whatever. But I wouldn't just disappear or go away when I met somebody with all 4, unless that person who met all 4 and they truly met all 4 was ready to go look at property. Then I might pack up and let's go look at property right now. All right. Hey, why don't you go grab some lunch? I'll put a list together and I'll meet you, at 1:30 at, the Starbucks on the corner of East Bay and, Belcher, and let's roll. Right. And so I would do things like that. But if I didn't have anything, they met all 4 criteria, then I'd say, okay, now let me start playing with house money, right? Now I've got my 1 locked away for the day. Now let me go sock it in and let's see if I can get 2 or 3 more and really start adding to my pipeline. Are you with me?
Sure.
So now again, you're going to have to continue to do these to get better and better and better to have that 4-point conversation. But I can't encourage you enough to continue to role play with each other until your 4-point conversation, right, becomes so second nature that you could literally, your spouse wakes you up and says, you're asleep. And all of a sudden I hear you saying something like, yeah, but hey, can we have an eyeball to eyeball conversation? Are you really willing and going to be loyal to me? Right? You said that in your sleep. Right? And that's good. When you get to that point, that's what should be happening. Right? It should be that ingrained into you. I don't know if we've told the story here, but in this group, I've told it in other past groups, but so going way back, right? Once I got a little traction going in real estate, I ran an ad in the newspaper. This is old school, right? Back when people actually read the newspaper, paper and ink, got black on your fingers when you read it, that kind of thing, right? So I ran an ad in the general real estate section of the newspaper in the classifieds, 365 days a year. It's called a rate holder ad, which means if you guaranteed them an ad for 365 days, then when I ran an ad on another listing or something, it was at a better rate, right? So I had a rate holder. But my rate holder ad said this, and I can remember like it was yesterday. Stop renting. It was in bold. Stop renting, exclamation point. All right. Payments less than rent. Down payment may not be necessary. Bob McDougald. And then the only thing that ever changed is what company I was with at the time, right? So, and I ran that. And when people would call on that ad, and people would call, stop renting. No, here's what it said. Stop renting, buy for little or no money down, payments less than rent, okay? Then it had my name and the company I was with, phone number, right? Well, people call, right? So they'd see that ad and they'd call. And my response to that, I mean, sorry about that. And so with that in mind, I would just, it was like second nature when people would call, and they'd call and they'd say, hey, this is Judy. I'm calling on your ad in the paper. Oh, great. Okay. Hey, Judy, let me tell you a little bit about what I do. And they would just roll off me. And Jeanette, if she was in the car with me or whatever, she could quote my response to that thing after a while, because I just said the same thing over and over. It was just wash, rinse, repeat, wash, rinse, repeat, wash, rinse, repeat, right? But I became so second nature that I literally could say it without even thinking, right? And quite frankly, I got to the same point in my open house pitch, right, that when people would come in, I might tailor it a little bit, whether they were a young family with a kid or an older couple that I thought that might be looking for a second home, or who knows, right? But it didn't matter. I would just, insert situation, but then get into the meat and potatoes of what I was trying to get across then and there. And you're going to have to get there, right? If you're looking to build business from scratch. Now, again, we're still talking corn here, right? But this is all building business from scratch. You're just going to have to get to the point where you know it so well, right, that it becomes second nature to you. And it's not even, you're not nervous, you're not anything. It's just a way of life for you. Anybody have any feedback on that or questions? Okay, no, good.
Well,
now, again,
you know what, Bob? I'll say something.
Go ahead.
Because I do the flea market with Sherry as well,
Yep.
and I've been doing that for a few years. And I have had success doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And she does have scripts. And you do say the same thing over and over again. And that does work. I mean, I know the neighbors at my flea market, they know my script too.
That's right. See, that's funny.
So that part is definitely true. I try to do the open houses. I'm trying just to incorporate another way of meeting people.
Sure.
So I started doing the open houses with Linda.
Yep.
But I will say it's kind of it's not as easy to work someone's open house. We have to make several phone calls to find agents that will let us do it, or agents whose clients even want them to have an open house. A lot of people say no, they don't want to do don't want their agents to do an open house. So there's a lot of roadblocks. It's not as easy when it's not your own listing.
Fair enough. Understood completely. And even if it is your own listing, if your seller doesn't want to do an open house, because as a seller, think about it from their perspective, right? If I'm saying, hey, look, are these really going to be effective in helping sell my home? It's a hassle for me to pack up the dog, pack up the kids, get everybody out for an afternoon from 1 to 4. We'd much rather stay at home and watch the hockey playoffs from our own home rather than have to go to Buffalo Wild Wings while you sit and watch the hockey playoffs from my home, right? Your open house, right? And so, I get that from that perspective. Thus, and again, you say, boy, you sound like a broken record, Bob. I'm going to highly encourage you to find a bank foreclosure relationship, right? Because and again, I'm not saying every bank foreclosure bank foreclosure listing agent allows you to sit open houses. But when you find one who does and says, go for it, right? You've got no seller that's pushing back, balking, right, at that. They're like, whatever, it's vacant, go for it, have at it all day long. Plus, I'm going to tell you, as I think you know this from Janice, from your experience at the flea market, there's a reason why Sherry has chosen to put foreclosure information here all over those booths, right? Because they tend to bring more people in. Now, again, I'm not saying this is what you want to do because, quite frankly, there may not be cable at the bank foreclosure open house. So you might find another way to watch your, hockey playoffs while you're at the open house. But trust me, I got real creative even back in the day in the mid 90s. All right, when I couldn't watch things on my phone like I can now. I got all sorts of creative with finding a way to still watch Bucks games on a Sunday afternoon from 1 to 4, having that on when there's no power or electricity on at the bank foreclosure open house. So all I can tell you is that I'm going to go back to that. Now I know, let's see. Jean, I know you're here. Eileen said she couldn't make it today, right? Hey, how are you? Oh, I think you're muted or your sound's down or something. Nope, you're not muted, but we could. No, now you're muted. Try it again. No, we're not hearing. At least I'm not hearing. You guys hearing her?
No.
No, we can't. Anyway, I know Eileen, who's usually there with Jean, she's has a meeting with a friend of hers who has some foreclosure listings. And maybe, Jean, if you could pass on to her, if Eileen gets an affirmative thumbs up, and I think she said she had looked her up and said she'll get 8 or 9 of them or something currently. If she could let the rest of the group know that, hey, look, other people might be able to sit, and she could, again, we won't push it, but if she gives us a thumbs up, then let us know. Fair enough? Okay, perfect. Awesome. Good deal. I'm just going to encourage you to see what that might look like. I can tell you it's my experience, right? I sat regular open houses and I sat bank foreclosure open houses, and I saw a significant increase in traffic. Now, again, it's been many years and I get that, but I still think you're going to experience an increased traffic flow through a foreclosure open house than you would at a regular quote unquote open house. Fair enough?
Okay.
Yeah. And it may take you a while to try. And again, you just got to keep pushing through. Hey, but once you find one, I had a list of my story was, I told you I sat FHA foreclosures, which were the HUD foreclosures. That's how I got started, right? I sat HUD foreclosures. Then they took that away. I remember it was 4 years into my real estate career. All of a sudden they changed the rules. You couldn't sit open houses at HUD foreclosures anymore. And I literally came home, dragging my lip on the ground. Jeanette said, "What's the matter?" And I said, "Oh, I'm going to have to go back to teaching. I don't know how, they took away the HUD foreclosure open house." Right. So if you know Jeanette, she let me whine for about 37 seconds and then said, "Well, figure out another solution." I'm like, "Well, excuse me, I'm still moping here. Thank you. You solution oriented. I'm not so sure I'm ready to be solution oriented yet. I'd rather wallow in my pity here for a little bit. And she said, well, you've had 37 seconds, so move on. And of course I did. And within another 37 seconds, I said, hey, you know what? There are like 4 or 5, guys that do these Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, guys and gals that do these Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac listings. I've sold a lot of their properties because I, would meet people at the other open house, end up showing other homes, and they had them listed. They like me because I know how to write good deals. I know I'm not going to waste my time on people who don't meet the 4 criteria. So, we get our deals closed. So the first one I picked up is Roger Gates. Roger and Aubrey Gates are a father and son team out of Remax in the Newport Richey area. And they had all these listings for Fannie Mae. And I just called Roger and I said, hey, Roger, I've sold a lot of your homes. He goes, oh yeah, Bob, loved doing your deals with you. I said, great. I said, hey, look, I met those people at a lot of them at these FHA foreclosure open houses, and they stopped allowing me to do that. Every time I've shown one of your listings, it's even the weekend, during the week, doesn't matter. I've never seen anybody at an open house that oh no, I don't do open houses. Are you crazy? I'm too busy doing other stuff. I said, great. Hey, would you mind if I sat an open house there? Nah, go for it. Have at it. Right. And it was as simple as that. Right. And so again, you just adjust to see what you have to do. I guess the thing I'm telling you, when the answer is I'm going to win no matter what, right, then how you get there doesn't really matter, does it? I mean, if the decision is made, right, and sometimes if you're married to somebody like Jeanette, like I am, the decision is made for you, right, that you're not going to mope around, right? But hey, look, if the decision is made that I'm going to win, then the how to win kind of figures itself out. Are you with me?
Yeah.
And I don't know, and sometimes, and I get, right, that not all of us are in a position where we have to be the major breadwinner of our family, right? That, hey, look, this is just a little extra income. I'm good to go. If I could sell 4 or 5 homes, and that's again, I'm not casting aspersions at anybody. That if that's your situation, great, that's fantastic, right? But this is more tailored to the people who say, hey, look, you know what? I really need to make $100,000, right? And then I'm willing to do whatever it takes. Well, we say we're willing to do whatever it takes, but then are we willing to do whatever it takes? Are you with me? Honestly, it's, hey, I really want to lose weight, but are we really willing to do what it takes? Because we know what it takes to lose weight. All right. You eat less and you exercise more, right? And no matter what the people on television tell you about magic pills, right? It's eat less, exercise more. Okay. It's a balance sheet, right? There's debits and credits, debits being calories in, credits being calories burned. And you better at the end of the day, if you want to lose weight, have more on the credit side than you do on the debit side. You can argue with it all you want, saying, well, there should be a magic pill. Well, there should be a lot of things in life, right? World peace and everything else, but it doesn't exist, right? So what should happen and what does happen are 2 different things. Are you with me? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. And that's all I can, say is that, and Janice, this is not certainly anything at you other than I'm going to encourage you to keep digging until you find somebody that has open houses that tend to be effective for you. Fair enough?
Hey, Bob.
Yeah.
I have a short sale. It's a pre-foreclosure that anybody can sit open house. I posted it on 100K last week, and it's North St. Pete, vacant house, and it's a pre-foreclosure, but if you get a pre-foreclosure sign, it could still bring in people.
Absolutely. So, the key is you can put pre-foreclosure. Now, would the seller allow you to put pre-foreclosure on there? Okay, good.
Yeah, it's vacant. So I put it up there, and anybody can sit any day of the week, anytime. It's vacant, and you just need to get a pre-foreclosure sign, and I think
awesome. This is Sherry Lowry. What's the address, Sherry?
1670 52nd Avenue North.
1670 52nd. That's a good area, by the way.
Yeah, it's a great area. And,
so that's basically right just south of 54th Avenue, in between, right off of 16th Street.
16th and 17th. Yeah, right at the corner. Plenty of parking, corner. So, and like I said, anybody can sit there any day of the week they want. I posted on 100K for last weekend, and I got no responses. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'd encourage you. And by the way, if you're looking to sell houses in Tarpon Springs and Palm Harbor, and you say, why would I sit an open house on, in 1670 52nd Avenue North, right? The answer is because you're going to meet people from all over, right? They were down there going on their way to a Rays game, and they actually live in Tarpon Springs and are renting, and they happen to pop in. I'm just telling you, don't try and get too geographic centric that you fail to understand the concept of meeting people. Fair enough? Okay, cool. Sandra.
I just wanted to say to that agent, sorry I didn't hear the name, that this is my 3rd year. And for 2 years, I had those non-successful open house, but I realized that was me, not the open house. The script, all that stuff needs to be done right. And, the more I did it, the more I got the script right down. And with the help of Sherry also, and now I'm having more successful open houses. I mean, I just need for people to walk in and want to put an offer. That's it.
Yeah, it's so true. And here's the reality is that the cool thing about this, just like anything, is that success breeds success, right? That as all of a sudden now you start to have more confidence in your script because you know it, right? Then you have more confidence in you and you're more effective in your open house. And that leads to now you're more effective in your open house, right? Which makes you want to do it more. And next thing you know, it's that momentum that is virtually impossible to describe until you experience it, right?
Yeah.
But once you get on that roll, I'm telling you, don't stop rolling. Right?
I mean, I don't mind sharing. To give an example, my first year of real estate, 3 transactions. My second year, 3 transactions. In April, I'm going to have 3 transactions.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. And it's all
keep going. Gotta keep going.
That's right. Stick through it and figure it out, right? And that's the old FIO we talked about in years past is figure it out, right? Just find a way. When there's a will, there's a way, and you'll be able to make it happen. That is a great story. Thank you, Sandra, for sharing.
And she's working with me at the flea market, and probably most of those leads are from the flea market that she's getting under contract.
All that stuff, again, it's all traffic, right? And again, if you're looking for traffic,
phone calls. They're calling me, Sherry.
Yeah.
We do phone call sessions about every week, Bob, to
That's great.
keep everybody accountable and just call back and follow up and everything. So
it's critical.
It's working out real well.
That's again, it's the action. Hey, Gene, for some reason we're not hearing you, so I don't know if we have to do sign language or something. Because you're not muted. She can write us a note or something. Maybe she's going to go figure out, because I could tell she wants to share something, but so.
And again, Bob, we're meeting somewhere between 18 and 25 to 28 people a day at the flea market now. So
it is. What days do you guys do that? Is it Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or just Saturday, Sunday?
Just Saturdays and Sundays. So okay. You got to be available on weekends. Yeah.
Perfect. That's good. I mean, you can't do the real estate business without saying I'm not going to be available. All right, Gene. I see you got help. You called in the expert. Good deal. I'm going to try. Now you're muted. Okay. Now you've muted yourself. I can tell from my screen. Now you're unmuted, yet I still can't hear you. So I don't know if do you have a headphones that you could plug in with a microphone anyway? Try that. No, I see you waving, but we still can't hear you. All right. Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe somehow the volume, or maybe if you go to your settings, maybe your like whatever your sound is not adjusting to it. So, all right. If you let us know, if not, get old school paper and pen and hold it up to the screen if you really want us to, you can tell, or text me. You could text me and I could relay that to the rest of the group. All right. Someone else is taking over the computer. He'll figure it out. Good deal. All right. So Janice and Linda, that's awesome. First of all, kudos to you for doing the open houses. I'm not, again, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I was and continue to challenge you to find ways to make them more effective and continue, Janice, to do what you're doing with Sherry. You know, you're going to figure out what works and then do more of it, right? That's all I can say. I don't know what the answer is, because that's point 3 here, is that eyeball to eyeball is the most cost-effective way to win in this business. All right, if I'm looking to create new business, then eyeball to eyeball is better than me sending out. That's the whole idea behind the pyramid of the 7 levels of communication, right? That as we move up those, get into the influential zone, as Michael would call it, right? Which is actually handwritten notes, seminars and events, and actually face-to-face meetings, right? That's the most influential. You're going to have a lot more effect than you are way low at the mass marketing, you know, kind of throwing stuff against the wall, see what sticks kind of thing, right? Okay, so I'm going to wrap a little bit about, you know, one last thing. I don't think I've told you this group this, and if I have, I know I haven't mentioned it this year. You talk about finding ways, right? So if you remember, my story is that I moved to the area, I got into real estate, and I didn't have all my sphere of influence was in California. So I had to generate new business from people from scratch, right? It wasn't going to be from a sphere of people that was hanging with. And the people I was hanging with, I was only 24 when I got into business anyway. So the people I was hanging with were, you know, not of them all had the credit worthiness to buy a home anyway, right? So that being said, all of a sudden I got a bright idea. I remember I was doing a lot of these first-time home buyers and found, you know, which is out there still now, right? Down payment assistance programs and so on and so forth. Well, I got a bright idea. I thought, hey, where are there renters hanging out, right? So I started running that ad in the paper like I talked about. And one day I just got this wild, again, and this is me, you're going to laugh. I literally took an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, and I didn't have access to a computer at the time. So it wasn't like I could just go to Word and use clip art, right? But remember, I was a geometry teacher, so I could draw a killer octagon, right? So I know how to do a regular octagon, which means it's equal sides and equal angles of all 8 angles, all right? So I drew an octagon and put the word stop in there, right? So it's like a stop sign, right? I literally got some ink pens and colored it red and left the part blank where it said you could see stop, right? I put stop, and then in big, bold, renting, buy for, remember that ad I told you I ran? I did this on a sheet of paper. Stop renting, buy for little or no money down, payments less than rent, right? Then I put Bob McDougall and where I was at the time, Prudential, Brilliant Realty, and my phone number. But then I put my name and phone number on little tear sheets at the bottom. You ever seen these, right? Where like at the bottom, written sideways, right? I had across the whole bottom where they could tear my name off and take my name, right? Like when you're selling a 10-speed or something like that, or, you know, and trying to sell a bike, you know, bike for sale, and they put you a little number. And guess where I put these?
Apartment buildings.
Close, all right? Because
probably laundromats.
I tried that. Was that?
Laundromats?
Laundromats. Okay. Why laundromats? Well, I figured most of the people at laundromats are renting, right? Not all, but for the most part, right? They're renting. And sure enough, my first year in real estate that I did this, and it was my first year in real estate, count them, 5 homes I sold from people who tore my name off of a bulletin board at a laundromat. Now, I'm not saying you go do this, but I'm saying what can we do, whether in the virtual world, that's similar, right? And people laugh at that. It's so funny. I would carry these, you know, these little, I had them pre-made, you know, ready to go in the back, and I'd be showing property. And back in the day, we had people in our car with us. They would, you know, we wouldn't meet them. And I'd actually let them in my car. So they would ride in the back or with me, and we're showing property. All of a sudden I just, oh, hang on. And I pull over and like, what are you doing? I said, oh, hey, I'll be right back. And I pop my trunk and I pull over. I was at a laundromat, and they're like, what's going on? And I'd go in, and it's either a laundromat that I'd already had been in that I wanted to check and make sure no one had torn my sign down, or if it was a new one that I hadn't discovered before, and I had a stapler in the trunk, and I just tack, put it up there. and then would get back in the car and like, what was that all about? Oh, I put these, in the laundromats. That's how I, find first-time home buyers. And they're like, what? They actually enjoyed the fact that I was, crazy enough to do something like that. But the reality is, what like that can you do, right? Whether it be on your online business page, whether it be maybe something different you do, Sherry, at the the open house. Maybe you advertise your booth at the flea markets at different locations where renters might be or investors might be. I don't know, right? But thinking outside the box, doing something a little bit different 5 sales for me was 5 sales. And really, we all know that 5 sales really lead us to more sales. So because they introduced me to other people. So who knows really throughout my whole real estate career, how many sales that really represented in that. So again, just going to continue to encourage you to think of creative ways that you can do something today, right? That's going to help you towards your goal. Fair enough? Okay. So eyeball to eyeball. Now let's get into orange groves a little bit, right? Stop chasing, start attracting, right? Now remember, even at the open houses, we're not chasing business. They're coming to us. The attitude is I have what they need, right? And when they walk in the door, it's their lucky day, not your lucky day, right? It's their lucky day because they get a chance to meet you. Whole different attitude change, different perspective. An aura about me says, darn straight lucky enough to do business with me. If I choose to do business with you, you're gonna think you're lucky stars, right? And that's kind of as opposed to me chasing them, right? So, and by the way, that becomes very attractive. People are attracted to somebody that has an air of confidence about them. I'm just here to tell you, right? So continue to put that in your mindset that that's where I want to be. I want to get to that level where people are lucky to do business with me, right? If I choose to spend my time helping them. Fair enough? Okay. So that's part of it. Second thing is, remember that when we are doing some of the things that Michael teaches in his 7 coaching sessions, the book has 7 coaching sessions built into the chapters, 7 levels of communication. All right. As you're doing those, the goal is to stop chasing that business and attracting it by giving generosity first, right?
Yes.
So has anybody started trying to implement any of the things that Michael teaches in his books? Some of the, whether they be one-on-one meetings, personal note cards, events, anything? Anybody?
Yeah.
The one-to-one meetings are easy for me. I always forget about the note cards. I know I should do that. I gotta write it down. I'm gonna write it down.
Perfect. That's good. And the power of that, what Mike calls a power note, right? That handwritten note that really, and doesn't have to, don't start and overwhelm yourself with, because sometimes people read the book, next thing you know, like, they come and they've got their hand in a cast because they wrote 432 note cards, right? Okay. I've seen it, right? And they're like, oh my gosh, I'm never doing that again. Well, that's not the goal, right? We want to have something that can be consistent that we do. And I don't care if it's 1 a day. If you did 1 a day, 1 note card a day, that's 5 a week, even if, or you did them all 7 days a week. That is a lot when you start to add it up. 1 a day is 365 a year, right? And if you can just kind of continue on that path of doing it and remember, the goal is not to ask for business, but to just think of something about them. Be appreciative, right? Hey, you know what? I was driving by and I saw a convalescent home, and I thought about how you have decided to take your mom into your home, and you're really going that extra step above and beyond. And, that's really impressive what you do, period. Right? Something like that, right? Or, hey, I know it's a real commitment for you. Your daughter's really into soccer and she's on a travel team. And the fact that you spend all those weekends in those, residence inn hotels that are overrun by soccer teams, I'm sure that's not the way you love to spend your, first choice to spend in a weekend per se, but that's your dedication to your children is admirable. Period. Something, anything like that, right? So you show, hey, look, you know what? People want to be recognized, right? Don't they want to be recognized for, hey, look, does anybody even really notice that I'm giving of myself here, right? That's what people want to know. And so when you recognize that, that goes a long way. It really does. And it makes you feel good when you do stuff like that. So I want to make sure that the mindset is correct when you're doing these power notes. It's not always looking for business. Anna, you got anything you want to share?
Oh, just listening to you, I thought about like anniversary of the closing will be good also to
Perfect.
implement this.
Awesome. You know what? And last time, remember 2 weeks ago, I can't remember who it was. I think it was Megan. And Anna and I were trying to figure out her last name the other day. But Megan was on here. And remember how she said that she tries to touch her sphere on a quarterly basis?
Mm-hmm.
Remember? And there are 13 weeks in a quarter. So she divides the 13 weeks into 2 letters of the alphabet per week, right? Because there's 26 letters in the alphabet. So yes. A's and B is the first week of the quarter. C's and D's are the second week of the quarter. E's and F's are the third week of the quarter. And by the time she gets to Y and Z, that's the 13th week of the quarter. And then she starts all over again the first week of the next quarter with A's and B's again. And you can rotate through. If you just had 4 things that you were going to do, right? Send them a birthday card. Send them a home closed anniversary card. Send them the end of your chance to file for homestead note, right? Whatever your 4 are, and you just repeated those once a quarter for all your sphere and divided up into a weekly task. Now you've got a game plan, right? A's and B's, C's and D's, E's and F's idea, right? By doing that, it really that was mind blowing to me. And by the way, Anna, do you have your planner with you that you showed me the other day?
Yes, I do.
Can you hold that up to you guys? You got to check this out. I don't know. You guys may have seen this. I hadn't seen it. Can you hold it up so we can see it?
Oh, cute.
That thing. Who's the author again?
It's Natalie McNeil.
Natalie McNeil, Conquer Your Year. She found this planner back in January. She was showing it to me. Open up to one of the pages. Because in there, and if you guys can see it, you guys got to Google this. If you can't see it, in there, guess what?
1 second. I don't know if you can.
Yeah, you can't really see it, but you see those little things?
Yes.
Some of those things, there's little bottles of water. You're supposed to check off as you're drinking 8 ounces of water, how many times you drink 8 ounces. And I said, oh, this is perfect. This is exactly what we teach. There also is a little thing of a person, running or something like that. That's your exercise. Did you exercise today, right? And so, and then also there's a spot about, does she call them blessings or affirmations? What does she call them, Anna?
Yes, there's really good, it's almost like accountability partner because
right. It's on paper, right?
On the end of the week to answer to yourself.
That's awesome.
How was your week? What you are most proud? What you did this week and so on, then it's helpful. And I thought about our meetings and about Bob when I saw it, it's why I picked it up. And I found it in the business section. This was
at Barnes & Noble you found it, right?
It was, yes, it was the bookstore.
You can find it online. I took a picture of it. I can maybe read it a little, make sure you spelled the name for it. Hang on, let me get to my gallery on my phone.
It's MacNeil. Natalie McNeil.
Yes, Natalie, MacNeil. And it's called Conquer Your Year, the Ultimate Planner. And I guess she's the author of the Conquer Kit.
They have it online.
I would think they do. I can't imagine how she survived
They should have it. And you can start at any time in the year. You don't have to start from January. They don't have a date, like starting January 2019.
Right. So you can just fill in the week that you're doing it because it's kind of a blank page, right?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes, you can write the date, whatever it is.
Super, thank you.
You're welcome. And they divide this book in 4 different sprint, like year to 4.
Yeah, she calls them sprints, right?
Yes.
And those are like quarterly goals or your sprints. Can you guys see my screen here?
Yes.
Okay, so I just put in Natalie McNeil and I put Conquer, and I guess she has a Conquer club.
Mm-hmm.
So let's look at that and see what that is. Hit your biggest 2019 goals in 100 days. The ultimate coaching experience and incubator for entrepreneurs. That's you guys. The Conquer, join us for. It looks like she has events going on. Sign up today. Coming out. Yada bada.
Big picture goals. It's very cool.
It is very cool.
Yeah, 12-week. They have the 12-week sprints. That's great.
Yeah. So you guys should take a look at that. I thought that was really awesome. I hadn't seen Anna have that before, and she just kind of pulled it out of her folder or something. I said, "What is that? Conquer your what?" I love the word conquer. Remember that? Because I told you I found out about my Viking roots, right?
Yes.
And then I went back and looked, and McDougal crest back in the day, right? Way back, going back to Scotland, was basically, it was in Gaelic, but it said conquer or die. That was our crest.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
I said, right on. I was like beating my chest. It's like, right on. That's who I am. I'm a conquer or die kind of guy, right? And then I transposed that with the story I tell about when my dad, rest his soul, had on his desk, the plaque that he had on his desk that said, if everything seems to be going right, you've obviously overlooked something, right? I said, whoa, wait, how did we go from 1382, conquer or die, to now 1980, if everything seems to be going right, you've obviously overlooked something. We've obviously had a little bit of slippage in our philosophy, our mindset along the way. So that was the chance for me to say, all right, if anybody's going to change the McDougal crest, let's get back to the original crest. So now I'm starting our trend up, right? And that's when Joseph came along and I was teaching him McDougals are the best, McDougals are the best, McDougals are the best. And, and so we're trying to change that whole thing. But I don't know, this looks really cool. I think that'd be,
That's very cool.
a good thing to do. And Anna and I were joking around. She goes, I know, it was $16 for the planner. And I felt like, I could really just copy these pages and do it on my own. But for my thought is, hey, look, if she's going to go to this point and do this, right, give her $16, right?
Yeah.
That's the best.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Let's go support her. If someone's going to talk our language and put something together like that, let's support them in doing what they do. So
there's another gal,
I
Danielle.
think it's very smart for her.
Yeah.
What's that?
I was just going to say there's another gal, Danielle Laporta, who has something very similar, but it's
cool.
3 times the amount of money. So yours is great, Anna. Really great.
Hey, Jean, we can hear you now.
It is.
Can I share with you what I was going to say? One, yes, we definitely will share our friend who is a broker and has lots of different openings that we might be able to share with everybody. Or I should say bank-owned foreclosures that we might be able to share with everybody.
Awesome.
I'll be back to you on that. And then, or Eileen, one of us will. And then 2, what Eileen and I did is, I think you recall a few of our meetings ago, we were doing open houses at odd hours, like from 3 to 6 or from 2 to 5, just to see what the traffic was like. Of course, not as many people, but the people that did come through tended to be more serious buyers. So then again, now we're back this weekend. We're doing 2 different open houses, or I am, different times during Saturday, different times on Sunday, just to see kind of like, well, how's it going to go? And we move all over town. So we're like, wherever our car drives, we go. That's our office. That's how it works.
That is, but that's what a business owner does, guys. I mean, and you guys understand that we need to really understand. I'm going to show you one other thing. What's it called? see if I can find this for you. Joseph and I used
What
to.
is the best time for now? Which one you have more clients?
Yeah, have you found? But let me ask you this: Does it change based upon the open house?
As far as how rough the
Well,
open
like you know what, this one in St. Pete for some reason really works well on a weekday, but the one up in in Pinellas Park is better on the weekends. And it could be something like that. Quite frankly, guys,
It could be the one that was over on 52nd. That was a good one. We happened to be doing an after school time, and all our balloons got taken, FYI. So if you're going to do one around school, just be forewarned that your balloons will probably be taken, all of them, not just one or two. We do like 6 or 8 balloons. And then, but as far as people coming in, like Bobby said, all you need is one person. And it happened to be one couple that came through, and we're working with them now. So is there one time better than another? I have to get back to you to really feel it out a little bit more. There may be more traffic on a weekend. And again, it's a numbers game. So the more people you have coming through, probably more likely you'll find a potential buyer. If you want to get down mathematical, that's our leader there. Right, Bob?
Well, yeah, and see, and it's funny because you reminded me, Gene, when people ask, well, when do you think? And this, for some reason, it's loading. So when Joseph was like 3 and 4 years old, we found this website called Cool Math, right? So right. Coolmathgames.com, right? And so he and I would play this, and it's for some reason it's taken a long time to load. We found one. There's one called Coffee Shop and one called Lemonade Stand, right? Where it's genius. You had a 30-day task to try and make as much money as you can at your lemonade stand, right? And if you get a chance to look this up and do this game, but what you have to do is you have to manage your inventory, because it's cheaper if you bought 10 pounds of sugar compared to 5 pounds of sugar, right, per pound. It was cheaper, right? So Joseph and I, the first time, let's buy 10 pounds, because they gave you a budget, right? We don't have so much working capital. So let's buy 10 pounds so we can do that, because the more sugar you put in, by the way, you had to toy with your recipe, because the more sugar, the more people liked your lemonade, and they were willing to pay you more for your lemonade, right? So all these variables were coming into play. All of a sudden, they offered us, hey, would you want to buy 20 pounds of sugar now? And we're like, yeah, let's buy more, because it's only like $3 a pound if you buy 20 pounds, right? So we bought 20 pounds, and literally 2 days later, a little flame came up, alert, ants got into your sugar, all your sugar's bad. Right? And so all this stuff had to come into play. So we had to start thinking like a business owner. So he and I, plus weather made a difference, right? They would give you the forecast for the next 3 days. And obviously when it was hotter, we were going to sell more lemonade, right? But we had to have enough because we didn't want to run out of inventory. So we had to manage our inventory. And Joseph is literally 4 years old, and we're making an Excel spreadsheet charting how many people would buy at what temperature ranges, right? And what was our recipe for that day, and so on and so forth, because we made it a goal to try and see if we can beat the system and do it. But we laugh about that, right? But Joseph, as a 4-year-old, knew more about business than most people do.
Very good.
It's true. I'm just telling you, it's an incredible little, and I don't know if Flash is loading or something, but coolmathgames.com. Lemonade Stand is the one we played in the summer. Coffee Shop we played in the winter, because the same concept was in the coffee shop. The colder it got, the more coffee you could sell, right? And depending on how much you did it. But the idea was, you know what? Let's start to think like a business owner.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Let's really attack, like what Jean just said. She and Eileen are saying, hey, we're trying to track what kind of traffic we get, right? Mm-hmm. And remember, I've told you stories about what I thought was going to be the best open house ever, turned out being the worst. And the one like, I'm not so sure, ended up being the best. And you don't know until you do.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Yep.
Right. And people are like, oh, I don't want to sit one because it's only, 110,000.
Oh,
right.
But there are a couple things I might hear. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Sandra.
Go ahead, Sandra, first.
I'll give you a good one on that. I have had more successful open houses between the price range 150 to 200 to 10 than sitting on a $350,000 house.
It's true.
I was just going to say, we were sitting on the one house for Sherry, and she very nicely the week before had done the advertising that we were going to have an open house. And
Right.
we went all over with our balloons and signs, and we were hitting all the angles. You have to do, I just want to share with everyone, you really, if you can, the more signs, the better. The more balloons, the better. You don't want it dangerous, but you want something that people are going to see blowing in the wind. So red or blue or something that will catch your attention. And you really need to strategize when you're going into a house. What are your main arteries that you're going into? Not one little piddly sign. Sherry's right. Do like 3 signs coming up so they're divided. And if you're going to write an address, make sure that you can see it when you're driving 40 miles an hour. Not teensy little.
Yeah, exactly.
So I have really nice handwriting. I'd be happy to help anyone if they need help with writing big printed. I'd be happy to help you with that, because that is key, so people know where are they going. Give them an address. Open house, that's great. But some people think, oh, they left those signs this weekend, from this past week and didn't pick them up. So you definitely want to say today.
Right.
Open house with the address, and you have to do kind of riders. You've got to get creative. And there's some great signs you can find at Home Depot and probably Lowe's, and then you improvise and add them up. So if you need help temporarily until you have some, printed up, call me. I'll help you.
That's awesome. Hey, and remember, go ahead, Sandra.
Oh, another thing to bring up, for example, we did an open house in one of my listings that sold already on a Thursday, and we only had like maybe 3 groups. But one of them, Anna got a lead on one of them that really liked my listing, but she wasn't even pre-approved. But Anna is now under contract with this lady, so she's closing at the end of April. So like you say, you only need one really interested in wanting to buy. And I told you what, that was only like 3 people walking into the open house. I worked at the weekend with Sherry, and I got 18 leads out of the fleet market. I'm working all of them, and out of them, I have spoken, probably with maybe 5 to 6, and out of 5 to 6, one is getting pre-approved right now, and I'm hoping to talk to another one to get her to get pre-approved this week too. And,
there you go.
More opportunity.
That's it. It's just, Anna, do you have something you wanted to add?
Oh, I had a better open house on Saturday once than Sunday.
Yeah.
But I talked to the agent who had a house for sale, the listing agent, few house over on the same street, and we advertised same day, same hours. I think this helped us.
Yeah,
both of us.
That's and get again as creative as you can. And guess what? Just like lemonade stand, the weather might affect it.
Yes.
Right? There might be big game going on that affects your traffic. I mean, all these things come into play, right? So don't let I didn't have anybody at an open house that week. Well, if the Bucks were on and it, again, that would have affected it. So take all that into consideration. And if you're going to do another one, don't let anyone, again, my pat answer is compared to what? Right. Hey, Bob, should I set an open house Thursday afternoon from 2 to 4? Okay. Compared to what? Doing nothing? The answer is yes. Right? Compared to, because what have you got to lose?
And Bob, another thing, not always do we have time to do this, but I'm going to try and implement this the following week.
Yeah.
If you get a handful of flyers about, it could be printed off the MLS, if you will. You run around to 10 houses or 20 houses in the neighborhood, you will get action.
Yeah.
And it says you have to carve out the time before, like the day before, or even the morning that morning, if you're going to do it in the afternoon, and it will pay off to do that. And then the other thing is to go back if you sell that house and say, look, we sold this house. It's a perfect reason to go and hit that neighborhood.
Why not? Exactly.
You never know.
That's awesome. Again, activity, right? We sit at home wondering why the business isn't working for us, right? Or we go to another class and wonder why the business is not working for us when we could be walking the neighborhood instead of sitting in eating another bagel, right?
You know what it is, Bob? I think honestly, because I'm coming in from the residential side, it's kind of been new trying to figure this whole thing out, and starting from scratch, you have to build a base. It takes time.
Sure.
So I think there's some people who can step into it and have family members or whomever that they're ready to buy 1, 2, 3. But if you're really starting from scratch, it does take time to build that base. And I don't think that's something that, most realtors are aware of. They think I'm a realtor, let's go. I'm going to sell you a house today. I mean, that's great, but sometimes you have to kind of put it all together.
Right, and realize it's like we call mining for gold, right? Not panning for gold. There's panning for gold, but mining for gold, right? That it takes, how long are we going to keep picking? Hey, I know there's a gold vein here somewhere, right? So I pick day after day after day with rock after rock after rock. Finally, 4 weeks in, you say, forget it. I quit. Put your pick down, right? And then I come along, and 2 picks later, one little measly 10 minutes into my picking, I hit the gold vein.
Right.
You did all the work. I get all the reward, right? And so the key is, as long as you trust the system, when is it too soon to stop? The answer is it's always too soon to stop, because if you trust the recipe, the cake will turn out okay at the end. Right?
Just have to stay with it. Perseverance.
Yeah. That's it. And my advice is, if you're starting from scratch, like I did too, then do, lead generating events, open houses, Sherry. I mean, the flea market, again, it's a mind goal for me. 18 leads in maybe 3, 6, 7 hours of work. I have never conquered that in any of my open houses. Because again, I'm starting from scratch. I don't have anybody. So build up that database does help. I mean, that's one way, in my opinion.
And there are people from all walks. They need, beginner houses to, gosh, I want to buy another house. And I think Sherry got one in Key West because he needed it for his boats. I'm like,
yay!
Hey! Right, Sherry? You got somebody at one of those open houses who wanted a house in Key West. I'm like, you go. That's like cool. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it really, what's so wonderful, and it makes you kind of feel that the people are coming to you, and Sherry's got a script, you stay with it, and boom, you weed them out later. But it is amazing.
Anna, you got something?
Are you asking people how they find you about your open house? Because I'm trying to find out from the visitors how they found me. If they are coming just by sign, or they saw me online, why are they here?
Yeah, you should ask that. I mean, if you're having multiple avenues. Now, for me, I can only answer it because I didn't have online presence. All I had was signs, so I had to assume that they were coming from the signs. But when someone comes in, if you're advertising it in the MLS, if you're also putting it on your social media, all that, say, hey, how'd you find us? Right? It's a natural question.
What I would like to say, then MLS, it's one of the best. And
sure
than you have in the MLS, because the people are saying, oh, I saw it on Trulia, Realtor.com, Zillow.
Well, even HomeSnap now, right? Their HomeSnap app, if they have the HomeSnap app even from somebody else, they may have found it because, remember, it shows purple or something like that on their search when there's an open house, as opposed to green if they're using HomeSnap.
And they are not local people. They came to the open house. They were like in Terminals, St. Pete area. They were coming from Tarpon Springs. They were coming from different. It was Hillsborough or Pasco. Somebody was there just to see this unit. Then I said, "Oh, okay, it's great."
That's perfect.
I would like to say, then don't forget to put in the MLS.
Yeah. Don't. And if it's not your listing, then you're at the mercy of the person who's doing it. But ask them, hey, look, would you be opposed, or do you have an assistant that could jump in there and at least make it an open house from these hours just to let the MLS know that it's there. I guess the only downside of that, if it's not your listing, is that technically the people who would be seeing the open house notification through the MLS probably are doing that because they have a buyer's agent that's already set them up with a search, potentially, right? And so you don't necessarily want to step on those toes. But again, compared to, I mean, the more you can expose it, the better, all right? And then putting on your personal social media pages. These are all things that I never did because, again, there was no, wasn't available. But had it been available, I certainly would do it back in the day. Sandra?
However, there's a good point on the MLS too, that the MLS, if you syndicate that open house, it will go into Zillow, Realtor.com.
Trulia, right, all of it, right.
Yeah.
So, that's one, in my mind is one bird, one shot at killing, I don't know how many birds, but.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Those,
That's right, exactly. Not two birds with one stone, but like multiple birds with one stone. That's awesome. That is awesome. That's very cool. And, and the cool thing is that, by the way, this is where the group synergy comes in, because there are like 8 of us online right now. But the fact that we're all hearing this and it seems easy right now, doesn't it?
Yes.
Okay, right? Okay, now the trick is when we all hit end meeting and we leave, now what are we going to do? Right? Okay, that was fun. Oh, great. Now what? Right?
Well, I think it kind of pushes us on because we know we want to do the open houses. That's been very, that's more, that might be more available to people until you get onto a team, for a market. So I think it pushes you on to find, what would be a good open house. There's no stopping on that one because they're there. You just have to go tap into them and find them.
That's it.
Yep.
And Janice, are you guys still there?
Yeah.
Yep, perfect. Jean just said something. Just keep tapping in and pushing and figuring out which one would be the most effective, right? And whether it be a regular open house, a bank-owned open house, a combination of the two, then not only just the bank-owned open house, but the bank-owned open house in a certain location tended to have a better attendance, right? No more traffic through. So, and it's all just a matter of trial and error. When Joseph and I did the lemonade stand, it was all trial and error. Let's tinker. Let's put 2.5 cups of sugar in and see if people like that lemonade better, right? But but we saw more people buy. But was that because of the weather? It was hotter, or because of the 2.5 cups of sugar? So we had to kind of analyze that, right? And when there's different variables in play, but it's kind of it makes it hard, but it also makes it fun, right? Because it's almost like this is a puzzle I'm going to figure out, right? I'm going to figure out what is the magic recipe, and there may not ever be hey, the recipe worked, and all of a sudden something changed, and now the recipe has to change, right? Or new competition came into play. That's the beauty of being a business owner, right? We always have to adapt and fluctuate based upon, but we got to know if we're just kind of putting our head in the sand and saying, I hope it works, I'm going to just not pay attention at the end of the year, I hope I meet my goals, doesn't really cut it, right? Jean?
I was just going to share with you another thing that we're going to attempt is go into a for sale by owner home and see how we can turn them into our client. We don't know exactly how we're doing this yet, but we have some ideas because I think you shared some great ideas with us at a session, Bob, and there was another seminar we had gone to. So we're like, okay, we can do this. We may stumble along the first time or two, but we're going to at least try it and offer to do an open house.
Why not?
Never know.
Why not? It's another, I'm just telling you, when I did that, what I described to you a couple weeks ago, probably a good 70% of the time I ended up converting those into listings.
Did everybody hear it? Because it was very well done how you presented it, Bob.
And it's online. FHR University has I can't remember what the class is called. Let's see if I can find it. Let's see. I don't know where it would be.
Because if you guys haven't heard Bob with us, it's worth going in and listening to his video because it was very well done. And you'll be like, oh, I never thought of that. Especially if you maybe it's a neighbor 2 streets over. It gives you like, gosh, I'm your neighbor. I just wanted to let you know I'm a realtor. I'd love to help you. Maybe I could see your house, preview it for one of my clients. And, I could help you with, do you ever do an open house? Well, maybe let me do one for you. I mean, the worst they can say is no. And the best they can say is, oh, okay, you're going to pay for everything? Sure, I'll bring the water.
Yeah, right. What the heck? Why wouldn't I, right? And go for it. If let me see. I don't know why I'm slow. Hey,
And
Mara,
Bob, while you're doing that, I just wanted to also tell you, I have a house in Largo, my cousin's house actually, that Jean sat open house for. And she actually got a brand new buyer from a neighbor who was renting that wanted to live in that neighborhood.
Yes.
And so Jean and Eileen are now getting them pre-approved, and they're going to be a new buyer. And this price range is in the 225 price range, this house in that neighborhood. But they just sat it's a regular house, not a bank foreclosure or anything.
Right.
But got a new buyer from that. And, it works whether you do, just getting out there, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Again, that's the key, right? It's just getting out there. And by the way, hey, Mara, I don't know if you can hear me. I'm at a Regis office here, and I got a really slow connection. So, Mara, I don't know if you're listening. She's muted, but if you could look up sometime, try and find us where the open house, the for sale by owner class, it might be under business basics. When you guys go into FHR University, we have different tabs. Try under business basics, but I got a class that I recorded a couple years ago, kind of talking about what Jean just described.
Yes.
Of how I'm going to go in and help a for sale by owner sell their home, and they end up listing with me. So, all right,
And
I got it back.
Excellent.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
May I ask you where we can find those clauses for additional terms in contract? I was searching for in different places.
We're still working on that. I got to get
ready. Oh, not ready yet. Okay, thank you.
It's going to be in Form Simplicity and Transaction Desk both. I think we're still working on getting them so that if I, the broker, put them on my page, then they'll be available for every agent.
Okay, thank you.
Right. I'm still working on that. But hey, Mara, if you're listening again, I don't know if Mara's on, but sometimes she mutes me. I don't blame her. But Mara, if you could make a note to, oh, there you are. Hey, Mara.
I'm here. Hi.
Hey, a couple things. Could you look into Form Simplicity? I know we know that a little bit better. And see a way that if the clauses are added under my account, then they'll be available for all our agents.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Where I can create like hey, here's a clause to use when you're asking for closing costs. Here's a clause to use when we're requesting
repairs,
whatever, repair addendum or whatever, right? Jim and I played with it a little bit, but I'm not so sure we know if they're showing up for everybody.
Okay.
Cool.
Cool.
And then did you hear my other message about the for sale by owner class?
I did not.
Okay.
I was actually on another call.
I couldn't get on, for some reason, I got a slow connection here. I couldn't get on FHR University.
Okay.
Excuse me. But if you could look up where I have a class on how to approach a for sale by owner.
Yeah.
And if you can find out, just let us know if before the end of this class. If not, you can post it on 100K. That probably under business basics, I'm thinking, or someplace. But let us know where that is.
Yeah, I'll let you guys know before the end of the class.
Okay, cool, awesome, thanks. All right. Cool. So, all right. So let's get back to our PowerPoint here. Stop chasing, start attracting. Attractiveness means working on me and making changes, right? That's not what we want to hear. All right. That includes, circling things like on Anna's planner about drinking enough water. All right. Exercising, doing the things we're supposed to do. And then once again, I'm going to reemphasize, since this is quote unquote our final session for this group, the 4 that lead us to number 5, right? We're going to grow spiritually, emotionally, intellectually, and physically. And that leads us to financially, right? If I can get good at those 4, if I can grow in those areas, then that comes as a byproduct. right? And then also, we don't just get introduced to other friends and family and other people that want to do business with us because we're nice. We do it because we've earned the right.
Yes.
Right? That we've gone, and that's what the whole generosity generation is about. We go give massive value first, right? Remember, these were all the things that this is going way back in the day, right? And we're going to turn off the TV. We're going to stop making our own excuses. We're going to submit to the law of the harvest. We're going to trust the process. All things we've talked about today, right? That as long as I know the recipe works, I'm going to trust the recipe, right? Consistently evaluate our progress. We're actually going to do things like a Sunday night ritual where I'm going to check against what I said I was going to do and see, did I do it, right? All that stuff, okay? And then all these different things that we love to do. So anybody, before we head out, by the way, continue to read I listen to The Greatest Salesman in the World quite consistently.
He's great.
I have an audio book, and that stuff is powerful. You know, what you put in your mind is incredible, and we have no idea how powerful the things that we say to ourselves are, right? And it works for the positive and for the negative. So you got to really guard against anything that would be deleterious to your growth.
Good
right?
word.
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah, that's very good.
Mm-hmm. With that in mind, viciously protect what you put in your mind, right? I have to constantly do that myself, right? It never stays done. It's never, hey, once I got positive in there, it tends to leak out, right? And negative doubts creep in all the time, right? So we've got to not only get the negative out, but you got to replace it with positive, because if there's a void there, the negative wants to just jump right back in, right? It senses an empty space. So getting the negative out is one thing. Replacing it with positive is critical. Okay, so it's there. I watched a great little it was about an hour and a half last night on Tiger Woods' golf season last year. You know, if you followed Tiger Woods at all and seen what he's gone through, right? Some of it's self-created, right? The guy he has got some personal demons that he's had to fight against, but he's also got some physical demons. And it's ironic that there's probably no doubt in my mind, and probably his, if he's truthful about it, that a lot of his physical demons that came to attack him were a result of his emotional demons that, you know, festered for so long. That's just the way life is, right?
Don't we all?
What's that?
Don't we all?
Yeah, you trust me. I'm the last guy to be casting any stones. Trust, you know what I mean? It's, you know, we all have these things that we deal with, right? But to see, I get goosebumps. By the way, I heard something the other day. You know, goosebumps are actually muscles.
Oh, never heard that.
They're little mini muscles. There's some kind of muscle that has, and your follicles, hair follicles are attached to these little tiny muscles. So it's actually a muscle group where goosebumps are. But watching him, he finally won the last tournament of the season last year for the first time in 5 years. He hadn't won on the tour. And to see the mass of humanity, it's like never been done in golf, where they just literally overran. He couldn't get to his ball to make his final putt because they had to clear the green because people were just pouring in. They wanted so much to be part of his story, right? And it was a testament to him. And again, think what you will about him. And I, you know, again, to Sandra's point, I'm very careful because I adhere greatly to Jesus's words when he says, hey, look, but be careful, because as you forgive, will you be forgiven?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. So like, whoa. Let me read that again. And it says, as you forgive, you will be forgiven. It's like, I probably need to get a little better at forgiving. Right. Because I am in need of a lot of forgiveness. So if I'm in need of that much forgiveness, I better get a lot better at forgiving, because I certainly don't want to be forgiven in the means of which I'm now forgiving at this point, right? So just a little get my Bible out and preach to you a little bit, but that's all right. You know that about me. I'm not going to hold back. So with that in mind, just surrounding yourself and finding good things to think on, right? That was a good story, right? That I got to watch him and see him overcome, and compared to some other stuff that you can watch that are not so overcoming, right? Sometimes it's natural for us to want to maybe see some negative stories because, hey, look, I can compare myself to somebody, at least I'm not them, all right? I'm not the dude that, ended up murdering his family and sitting in jail. I'm better than that guy, right? It's who you're comparing yourself to, right? And so let's make sure we're doing that. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
Here's the other thing. There's value here. Again, I know we're not going to be doing this on a every other week basis right now. Keep your eye on the 100K page. I might, if we have some time and I have some availability, I might just, hey, look, anybody wants to get together, I'll be here Wednesday from here and here. And again, no pressure, come to, if you want to just share some things. But I'm going to encourage you guys kind of know each other now, right? Spend time together, right? Go hang out, grab a cup of coffee with other clients, yes, but also with each other, because there's value in what we do here, right? And I'm just because we're not going to have a formal meeting here on out, scheduled, keep an eye on it. And by the way, keep an eye on the calendar, because if I decide to add something, I'll make sure we put it on the calendar so that it's there and available for us to go. And if nobody shows up because everybody's busy, that's great. There's no problem there. And then obviously in the meantime, if you ever need specific questions answered, I have the Monday and Friday office hours that are virtual office hours as well. And you're free to come in and ask questions on this kind of stuff as well. Hey, look, I'm struggling finding an open house. Those Monday and Fridays are total open forums. You can ask anything and everything on those times. Cool?
Cool.
Good deal?
Yes. Thank you.
All right. Continue. Anna?
Yes.
Next time I see you, I'm going to make sure you've got your 3 calls to make. Now I want to know who your accountability partner is. All right. I'm your accountability partner to find an accountability partner. Good deal. All right.
You can always hop on with Eileen and I if you want to.
Did you hear that, Anna? That'd be great. There's nothing wrong with a 3-person accountability group.
Okay.
Hi, love. You're welcome to jump in with Eileen and I. She just happens to be a neighbor on the next island over, so it makes it convenient. But you know what? Our other Seminole office is a hop, skip, and a jump. So you're welcome.
Anna's close to the Seminole office as well.
Right. I've seen you up there. So it's Jean, Brian. You're welcome to call anytime.
Great. Thank you. I will.
Okay. Good. Very good.
All right, guys.
Thank you so much, Bob.
All right. Good to see you guys. If you need anything else, let me know. Continue. Great job on sticking through it. And anything I can do to help, reach out anytime.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.